Question 6. What have you learned about technologies from the process of constructing this product? Well, from a hardware point of view, I had to come to grips with the iMac. Using the iMac was the hardest part of constructing my product, as I had almost never used one beforehand. There are many keyboard shortcuts and clever techniques that I gradually picked up, which overall made the whole process a lot quicker and smoother. I thought on the whole the iMac was a brilliant computer and thoroughly enjoyed the challenge of using one. Another piece of hardware that I had to come to grips with was the Canon FS100. This was a handheld camera that the school had loaned me. It was interesting as I had never used this style of video camera before, so it posed new challenges for me. Learning how to use it was a simple case of having a quick feel and understanding its capabilities. From a software point of view, I had to come to terms with iMovie. iMovie was used for creating my animatics, as it was a simple, quick and effective program for getting my photos straight from the camera to the Mac. Very straightforward abilities, so there wasn't really anything to learn that I wasn't already aware of. GarageBand was another piece of software. It was a little bit more complicated to get to grips with, but once I understood the general way it worked, it became relatively easy to use for the task I needed to get done. By using this program, I was able to create and put in my desired sound effects into my production cards, which made them seem much more professional with ease. It also allowed me to record voiceovers quickly and simply for my animatics. LiveType was a big piece of software for me. This program was quite possibly the thorn in my side for the entire process of creating my product. Having never used it before, I was unaware of its features and generally how it worked. It proved to be the biggest challenge for me to learn to use, but once I had picked up the basics it wasn't too bad. Although my limited knowledge did restrict my performance with it, and also take up a large amount of time, later on in the editing process of my opening sequence, when I felt I had become a bit more competent with the software, I actually used it to put in an effect on one of the titles, as you can see here. Again, with my lack of knowledge, it took some fiddling, but I was able to attain the desired effect eventually. It was quite confusing at first, but this is really quite a clever program that has a lot of good capabilities. Final Cut was, in my opinion, a lot of fun to use. Having used similar programs before, I was vaguely aware of the options I had at hand when using the software. It was just a case of becoming comfortable with the layout and also further increasing my knowledge of how certain things work, such as keyframes. For websites, WordPress was predominantly the only thing I had to come to grips with. This was a blogging site that, although I was familiar with in a sense of visiting other people's sites, I'd never actually used one before, so coming to terms with all of the features did take a while. However, once I learned about the general ins and outs of WordPress, it was relatively straightforward. To allow myself to blog while away from my computer, I actually downloaded a WordPress application for my iPhone. This meant I was able to update my blog with thoughts whenever they popped up. I was, however, limited to the features of the application, as not everything was possible on a small iPhone.